are times in life when a person begins to sense that something fundamental is out of place. Carefully laid plans fall apart for inexplicable reasons. The tighter you try to grasp control, the more everything slips through your fingers like dry sand. You feel drained from the effort of maintaining normalcy. And then, just when reason feels most powerless, strange things begin to seep in. Coincidences occur too often to be dismissed as mere chance. Perhaps it's the repeated numbers that haunt you, vivid dreams that play out like previews of the future, or the sense that the world around you is just a fragile illusion. Your mind reassures you that it's all accidental, but perhaps your intuition, the deepest well of your wisdom, whispers a different truth, that there is an invisible hand quietly rearranging the chessboard of your life. Carl Jung, the distinguished psychologist, called this synchronicity. He believed that when the inner world trembles, the outer material world will also tremble in response. The illusion of stability must collapse so that you are compelled to step into a new chapter. In this video, we will walk together through 7 uncanny signs that your old reality is making way for a more whole version of yourself. If you recognize yourself in any of these signs, allow yourself a gentle sigh of relief. You are not alone, and more importantly, you are beginning to awaken. Sign 1. The glitch in the matrix. Irrational coincidences. This sign often appears in a very pure form. A thought that has just arisen in your mind immediately takes shape in the outer world. The distance of time and space between thought and event vanishes entirely. It happens so quickly and so precisely that the person experiencing it cannot help but shudder, wondering whether the mind is influencing the world or whether the world is somehow reading the mind. When hearing about such things, the natural reflex of the modern mind is to dismiss them. We have been educated to believe in statistical probability. We reassure ourselves by saying, there are billions of events happening every second. 2 of them happening to coincide is only random chance. That is a reasonable defense mechanism. Yet there are coincidences so heavy with meaning and significance that the idea of chance becomes utterly meaningless. To understand this more clearly, let us travel back in time to Carl Jung's consulting room in Zurich, where the story of the golden scarab unfolded, a story that would later become a cornerstone of his theory of synchronicity. Imagine the setting at that moment. Jung was facing a therapeutic case that seemed almost hopeless. His patient was a highly educated woman, sharp-minded and intensely rational. She lived within a fortress of logic where everything had to be explained through clear cause and effect. That very intelligence had become her greatest barrier, preventing her from touching the deeper wounds of her soul. Every attempt Jung made to help her connect with the irrational, emotional side of herself was swiftly rejected by her precise arguments. The healing process had reached a dead end. The atmosphere in the room felt stifling, tense, like a string stretched to the breaking point. At the height of this impasse, the woman began telling Jung about a dream she had the night before. In the dream, she had been given a precious piece of jewelry in the shape of a golden scarab, a sacred symbol of rebirth in ancient Egyptian culture. As she was absorbed in describing the colors and form of the beetle from her dream, an unusual sound suddenly came from outside the window of the consulting room. Jung felt a strange and powerful impulse. He stood up, walked over, and flung open the window. In that very instant, a small creature flew into the room. Jung quickly caught it while it was still hovering in the air. When he opened his hand beneath the light, he was stunned. It was a scarabæid beetle, the species Cetonia aurata, with a shimmering metallic shell of green and gold, the closest living resemblance to the golden scarab from the woman's dream. That a beetle would seek to enter a dark room at the precise moment the dream was recounted was undeniably uncanny. Jung approached the woman, held the beetle out before her, and said quietly, "Here is your scarab." That event struck like a hammer blow against the fortress of the woman's logic. Her walls of defense collapsed entirely. In that moment of stunned silence, the proud ego bowed its head, giving way to wonder and understanding. She realized that this world was far larger and more mysterious than anything her rational mind had ever imagined. It was through that seemingly irrational coincidence that her process of healing truly began. Perhaps Jung's story feels distant, colored with the aura of legend. Yet if we pause and observe quietly, modern versions of the golden scarab are still appearing every day in the lives of ordinary people. Have you ever been driving alone on the highway, your mind drifting back into the past, and suddenly remembered an old friend you had lost contact with for decades? You recall their smile, the memories from your university days, and an unnamed longing begins to rise within you. Then, only a few minutes later, as you pull into a gas station or arrive home, your phone vibrates. A message from that very person appears, or an email notification tells you they have just viewed your LinkedIn profile. Or there are simpler moments, yet equally haunting. You are wrestling with a heavy question. Should I leave my job? Should I move to another city? And almost immediately, you happen to overhear a stranger speak the very answer you needed to hear. Or perhaps you suddenly think of an old melody from the 1980s, turn on the radio in your car, and that exact song begins to play right at the chorus. The scattered fragments of life suddenly fit together so perfectly that it feels almost unsettling. Coincidences that repeat with such frequency and precision seem to suggest that a deeper order is at work. Carl Jung devoted his entire life to deciphering this mysterious mechanism. He proposed the concept of unus mundus, a Latin term meaning one world. To make this easier to grasp, imagine our reality as two sides of the same coin. One side is mind, representing thoughts, dreams, and emotions. The other is matter, representing events, objects, and people. In everyday life, we see these two sides as entirely separate. Thoughts stay inside our heads, while the world exists outside. But Jung believed that at the deepest level of existence, what he called unus mundus, these two sides are actually one. They share a common root, a single essence, differing only in their manifestation. So when you go through great emotional upheaval, burning desires, or moments of absolute deadlock, like the woman in Jung's story, your mind sends out a powerful vibration. This vibration travels down into the depths of unus mundus and shakes the world of matter. That's why the beetle in the dream and the beetle at the window are not two random events colliding by chance. They are two simultaneous expressions of the same meaning, appearing together to awaken the observer. There's no chain of cause and effect connecting them. Instead, they are joined by meaning. The message the universe sends you through sign number 1 is profound and healing. The false wall separating your inner world from your outer world is collapsing. This isn't a time to be afraid, nor a time to analyze probabilities with logic. It is an invitation to return to humility and listen. The universe is whispering that you are not separate from the flow of life. Your thoughts, pains, and hopes are not locked away inside your narrow skull. They are interacting, dancing, and shaping the reality all around you. Welcome these glitches in the matrix as playful winks from fate. Instead of feeling unsettled, try smiling and asking yourself, if the outer world is reflecting my inner world, what is this image trying to tell me about myself? When you begin to ask that question, you step into the role of a co-creator, someone learning to read the mysterious language of their own soul, written upon the pages of reality. The crack in logic, it turns out, is exactly where the light of truth can pour in. Sign 2, the Poltergeist effect. If, in the first sign, the universe sends you gentle invitations through quiet coincidences, then, in this next stage, the intensity of energy changes completely. When the whispers of intuition are forgotten, when inner conflicts are suppressed for too long without resolution, the voice of the unconscious begins to roar. And that roar has the power to shake even the inanimate objects around us. Poltergeist, in Western folklore, is often associated with ghostly phenomena, noisy spirits that cause disturbances. But through the lens of depth psychology, we need to set aside the veil of superstition to see a raw, more scientific truth about the connection between human beings and the material world. This phenomenon usually begins during times in life when a person is under immense psychological pressure, periods of suppression, anger, or suffering that cannot be put into words. Suddenly, the objects in your home seem to take on a will of their own. Have you ever, right in the middle of a wave of anger you're trying to force down, seen a ceiling light bulb suddenly burst? Or when you're facing a critical deadline, carrying with you anxiety and a quiet resistance to your current job, your computer, which had been working perfectly, suddenly freezes. The screen goes black and it refuses to restart no matter what you try. Or your car breaks down in the middle of the road for no apparent reason, precisely when you're driving somewhere. Your heart desperately doesn't want to go. In these moments, the malfunction of objects outside is a projection of the fragmentation inside. To fully understand this phenomenon without falling into the trap of fearful superstition, we need to revisit one of the most famous intellectual confrontations in the history of psychology: the fateful meeting between Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud in Vienna, 1909. This was not simply a debate between two men, but a collision of two worldviews: Freud's strict materialism and Jung's mystical spirituality. At that time, Jung was trying to convince Freud of the existence of parapsychological phenomena and a psychic energy that extends beyond the physical body. Freud, with the mindset of a classical scientist, vehemently rejected these ideas as nonsense and superstition. The atmosphere in Freud's study grew tense and suffocating. Jung, still young and carrying both reverence and a powerful urge to rebel against his spiritual father, fell into a strange, agitated state. He described his chest as burning hot, his diaphragm as if it were a sheet of red-hot iron. The pressure of not being understood, the conflict between respect and the urge to assert his own truth, created a tremendous psychological tension inside Jung. And then, a sharp, explosive sound rang out from the thick oak bookcase standing right beside them. The noise was so loud that both men jumped in shock, as if the bookcase was about to come crashing down. Freud's face turned pale as he stared at the bookcase in silent terror. Jung, immediately grasping the connection, said, "That is exactly an example of catalytic exteriorization." Freud, still clinging to materialist logic, shouted, "Nonsense!" But Jung, with a certainty rooted in deep intuition, replied, "Not nonsense at all. To prove I'm right, I predict that there will be a second bang, right now." And just as he finished speaking, a second explosion, identical to the first, echoed from the bookcase. The silence that settled over the room was the silence of a worldview collapsing. Freud was left utterly unable to explain what had happened, and that event would become a major crack in their relationship. But at the same time, it stood as powerful proof of the mind's ability to affect matter. Jung called this phenomenon catalytic exteriorization. To make this easier for the modern mind, imagine your body and mind as a transformer station, and emotion as the current flowing through it. In a balanced state, this current runs smoothly, powering your life. But when you suppress intense feelings, anger, sorrow, or fear, you inadvertently block that flow. According to the law of conservation of energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form, denied release through words, actions, or tears. This suppressed energy seeks an alternative exit, and if the fuse inside you is too strong to break, the excess current will discharge into the environment, interacting with the electromagnetic field of nearby objects. Light bulbs, electronics, machines. These are the most sensitive to these fluctuations in energy. They become the unwilling victims, bearing the pressure that your own mind refuses to acknowledge. The cup that shatters in your hand isn't broken because you're clumsy, but because the tremor of your suppressed anger has affected its physical structure. Through the rebellion of objects, the universe is sending you an urgent message. Stop and look within. Don't keep suppressing. When you can name that emotion, when you allow the energy to move by acknowledging and accepting it, the poltergeist effect will simply disappear. However, if you notice unusual phenomena around you that leave you feeling persistently anxious or fearful, don't hesitate to seek support from a mental health professional. Sign 3. Simulation break. The sense of unreality. This is a subtle psychological state, often arising at the moments when you are least on guard. In settings full of social connection and familiarity, imagine yourself at a Thanksgiving dinner with your extended family, or at a weekend gathering with your closest friends. There's lively laughter and conversation, the smell of delicious food, warm lighting. Everything on the outside is perfect, just like the picture of a happy life you've always wished for. Suddenly, the sounds around you seem to echo from somewhere far away. You look at these familiar faces, spouse, children, colleagues, and they suddenly appear strange. It is not a lack of recognition, but a sense that they are mere actors, reciting a script memorized by heart. The stories they share about the weather, politics, gas prices, or office gossip start to sound repetitive and mechanical. Along with this feeling of unreality comes a profound emptiness inside. The things that once brought you joy now feel dull. Your favorite food tastes like wax in your mouth. The movie that used to make you laugh and cry is now just meaningless moving images. You still go to work, still fulfill your responsibilities, still exchange polite smiles. But inside, the flame of enthusiasm has gone out. You feel like a ghost drifting among the living, watching everything through a thick pane of glass. Before we dive into the spiritual meaning of this experience, I want to pause for a moment to send you a reassuring embrace and an important note on mental health. In clinical psychology, this sensation is called derealization, a disturbance in the perception of reality, or depersonalization. If this state persists continuously, leaving you panicked or unable to function or care for yourself, it's time to seek help from a doctor or therapist. Sometimes, this can be the brain's way of protecting itself when overwhelmed by stress. But if you experience it as fleeting moments, accompanied by deep reflection about the meaning of life, please rest assured, you are not ill. You are moving through a transitional tunnel of awareness. Carl Jung saw this phenomenon not as a disorder, but as a strategic movement of the libido. We often misunderstand libido as only sexual energy, as Freud believed. But to Jung, libido is psychic energy, the precious fuel that powers the whole mind. For most of our lives, we use this energy to color the external world. We project meaning, desire, and value onto our work, our lovers, and our ambitions. It's this very act of projection that makes the world appear vibrant, captivating, and real. But when you enter a phase of transformation, that libido energy is drawn back inward. The people around you seem to fade, not because they have changed, but because you have stopped projecting your expectations and illusions onto them. The sense that everything is fake is in fact good news, even if it feels unsettling. For the first time in your life, you are seeing the world bare, just as it is, no longer distorted by the lens of ego. You are seeing the persona, the social mask of those around you. You realize that these polite conversations are just safe scripts, covering up people's fears and loneliness. You see that titles and material competition are merely props on a stage. The weariness you are tasting is simply the price of truth. Sign number 3 is actually the first step toward freedom. The universe is pulling you away from the crowd, not to isolate you, but so that you can step back and observe the play from the audience, rather than keep performing as a weary actor on stage. The meaninglessness you feel is not the end point, but a necessary blank space, a clean sheet, so you can begin to rewrite your life script, not based on society's expectations, but on the true calling of your soul. So the next time you find yourself at a party, feeling lost like an outsider, don't force yourself to blend in or pretend to be happy. Gently allow yourself to remain apart. Observe this simulation feeling with curiosity. Remind yourself, the mask has fallen. Now, what am I really seeing? In the stillness of that observation, you will find your way through. Sign 4, Enantiodromia, the domino collapse. If the first 3 signs carry an air of mystery and subtle unease, the 4th sign arrives with the raw physical force of a storm. It blows the doors off your life. This is the stage many people describe as the darkest period of their lives, when every source of safety collapses one after another in an unstoppable chain reaction. This phenomenon often begins with a specific loss, perhaps the sudden end of a job you've dedicated 10 years to, before you can even catch your breath and search for a new direction. The second domino falls, a long-term relationship, once your emotional refuge, suddenly ends for reasons beyond repair. And then, as if the universe is pressing you against the wall, your health begins to waver, or a serious financial crisis appears. Everything crashes down in the space of a few months, sometimes just a few weeks. The feeling is not just pain, it's profound confusion mixed with a sense of injustice. You feel as if you are a target being punished by fate. You ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why are all the doors slamming shut at the same time? You reach out, trying to hold on to the fragments, but the harder you grasp, the faster they crumble. Yet, in the darkness of this despair, Carl Jung lit a torch of deep insight. He called this phenomenon Enantiodromia, a term from ancient Greek meaning running toward the opposite. This is an unbreakable law of nature and psychology. Everything, when it develops to the extreme of one polarity, will inevitably shift to its opposite. Look to nature, and you'll see this law in motion. The brightest day always ends in night. The height of summer inevitably gives way to the chill of winter. Our inner world is no different. When your life falls into a state of prolonged false stability, when you cling at a job that no longer brings you joy, a relationship that's run dry, or a lifestyle built only to please others, you are unknowingly pushing the balance of your life toward rigidity. You've built a fortress of ego so strong, so secure, that it has become a prison, holding back the growth of your soul. And because nature despises stagnation, the energy of Enantiodromia rushes in like a flash flood. It is the universe's mechanism for restoring balance. The present chaos is the inevitable answer to the earlier excess of control. Anything that no longer serves your evolution, no matter how much you love it or cling to it, will be stripped away. Perhaps the most poignant metaphor for this stage isn't found in distant places, but right within the pages of the Bible. It is the story of the wheat grain. Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. The domino collapse you're experiencing is precisely the falling to the ground and dying of the wheat grain. The rigid shell on the outside, what you call your identity, your career, your social status, must crack open and decay in the cold earth. It is a painful symbolic death, but it's the essential condition for the new life within, what Jung called the self, to break out and reach for the sunlight. Seen in this way, you'll realize the universe is loving you with stern compassion. It is clearing the path for you. So, if you're standing amid the ruins of your life, please don't collapse. Don't waste your energy on blame or trying to glue back together pieces that have already broken. This collapse is a blessing in disguise. It takes away what you want to give you what you need. It removes false security so that you can discover your true inner strength. Instead of fearing the storm, learn to become the eye of the storm, the calmest place in the midst of turmoil. Let go and gently whisper to yourself, the old has died. Let it go, because only when your hands are empty are you ready to receive the gift of rebirth that destiny is preparing for you. Sign 5. Prophetic dreams, time collapse. In our ordinary state of consciousness, time moves along a straight line. Yesterday is a dead past, today is the living present, and tomorrow is a mystery yet to come. We feel safe on this linear flow, believing that cause always precedes effect. But when reality begins to crack, this rule bends. Information from the future starts to leak backward into the present, often through the mind's softest doorway, sleep. This phenomenon usually begins with dreams whose images and emotions are entirely different from the usual chaos of ordinary dreams. They are vivid and striking. The next morning, the feeling of that dream still weighs heavily on your chest. And then, the event you dreamed of unfolds in real life. Accompanying this is a frequent appearance of déjà vu, a fleeting sense that I've experienced this before. In that moment, time seems to fold over itself. Past, present, and future stack up as one, leaving you reeling. Many people, when confronted with this prophetic capacity, are overcome by fear. They worry about their mental health, wondering if they're becoming delusional. It's a very human fear, one that even Carl Jung himself wrestled with during the darkest times of his life. In the autumn of 1913, a year before the outbreak of World War I, Jung experienced a series of terrifying visions that shook his worldview to its core. While riding a train through Switzerland, he suddenly entered a waking state where he saw a horrifying vision overshadowing the peaceful landscape outside the window. He saw the whole of Europe sinking in a vast sea of blood. The red, turbulent waters rose high, sweeping away civilizations, and in those pale, deadly waves drifted the bodies of thousands. That frigid flood turned the deep blue lakes to ice. This vision recurred many times, each time more powerful and violent. Jung, a distinguished psychiatrist who had spent his life treating mentally ill patients, now found himself trying to diagnose his own mind. He trembled at the thought that he was losing his sanity, that he was developing schizophrenia. He fought back, clinging to the illusion of a peaceful European reality. But history proved Jung was not insane. In August 1914, war broke out. The rivers of blood he had seen in his visions became the tragic reality across the battlefields of Europe. His mind had crossed the boundary of time to read the undercurrents in the collective unconscious before they surfaced in the physical world. So, how is this possible? While modern science grapples with the concept of time, Jung offered a key: the pleroma, eternal wholeness. Imagine your life as a boat drifting along a long river. The ego is the one steering the boat. Limited by its perspective, the boatman can only see the current stretch of the river, remembers the part already traveled, and has no knowledge at all of what lies ahead. This is linear time, past, present, future, in a single file line. But the unconscious is not on the boat. It's like a helicopter hovering above, looking down on the entire river. From that vantage point, the source, the past, the stretch you're on, the present, and the river's mouth, the future, all exist at once as a single panoramic picture. At that height, there is no before, no after, only eternal existence. When your reality begins to crack, that is, when the boatman becomes distracted or lets go of the rudder, your consciousness may for a moment slip off the boat and rise up into that helicopter view. You touch the pleroma. From there, seeing tomorrow's events is as natural and effortless as recalling a memory from yesterday. There's no miracle involved, only a shift in perspective. The signs of prophetic dreams or déjà vu are, in essence, the collapse of time. This experience can feel bewildering at first, like someone who's lived their whole life in a dark cave suddenly stepping out into bright sunlight. But stay calm and don't try to use your dreams to control the future. That is the trap of fear and desire. Welcome these moments of slipping outside of time with reverence. They come to remind you that life is not a straight line racing toward death. Life is a complete circle. You are larger, deeper, and far more mysterious than any calendar or watch can measure. When time collapses, you begin to notice a web of signals surrounding you. This is when reality itself starts to behave like an intelligent system, continually sending you repeating messages. We step through the sixth doorway, where the universe operates like a vast, compassionate computer. Sign 6, the universal algorithm. This phenomenon may begin with numbers. Whenever you look at a clock, your phone, or a license plate, you keep encountering repeating numbers. In modern spiritual culture, repeated sequences like 1111 or 333 are called angel numbers, signals of awakening. Although Carl Jung didn't use this term, he regarded number as the most primal archetype of order. For Jung, when a number appears persistently, it's not mere mathematical coincidence, but the rhythm of the unconscious seeking to communicate with consciousness. For example, 1111 is seen as a wake-up code, an energetic gateway signaling that your intuition is opening at its highest frequency. Beyond that, each repeating number carries its own code. 222 is a reminder of balance and relationships, while 444 signifies protection and stability. Symbols from nature also join in this dance. Perhaps on days when you're wrestling with personal change, the image of a butterfly appears everywhere. On a passing girl's hair clip, on the cover of a book in a dusty shop, or in a film that happens to play. According to Jung, this isn't random. In Greek, psyche means both butterfly and soul. Its appearance is an ancient whisper that you're undergoing a painful yet beautiful metamorphosis. Or if the image of a wolf keeps showing up before you, perhaps your wild instincts, the inner guide, are awakening, leading you through life's dark forests. Modern neuroscience often explains this phenomenon with the RAS, reticular activating system. It's the brain's biological filter, helping eliminate millions of distractions so you can focus on what matters to you. When you pay attention to a red car, RAS opens the gate, letting you notice every red car on the street. However, Carl Jung invites us to look deeper than that, beyond the biological surface, to touch the level of spiritual wisdom. He called this mechanism the archetypal constellation, the activation of primordial patterns within the psyche. Imagine your consciousness as a radio transmitter. When your inner world goes through major upheavals, like a longing to return to your roots, a pain in need of healing, or a transformation in awareness, you unknowingly emit a unique vibrational frequency. This frequency activates a corresponding archetype deep within the collective unconscious. Once this archetype lights up, it acts like a powerful magnet. It doesn't just change how your brain filters information. It actually draws events, people, and symbols of the same frequency into your life. Jung called this a causal parallelism, meaningful connections that aren't caused by simple, linear logic. For example, if the mother archetype is activated within you, perhaps because you yearn to become a mother, or you're healing your relationship with your own mother, the external world will reorganize itself to match. You'll keep seeing pregnant women, hearing lullabies, or noticing images of mothers holding children on billboards. No one is orchestrating this from the outside. It's your own energy field that invites these pieces to step into the picture of your life. To make this even clearer, imagine the universe as a giant algorithm, much like how YouTube or TikTok operates, but on a sacred scale. Social media algorithms track your behavior to suggest what your ego wants. The cosmic algorithm observes your vibrations to suggest what your soul needs to learn. When you notice repeating numbers and an onslaught of symbols, it's the newsfeed of your life being updated by this divine algorithm. It's gently reminding you, based on what your soul is wrestling with. These are the lessons, data, and directions you're being shown right now. So, rather than fearing or doubting these recurring signs, receive them with gratitude and curiosity. Pause, breathe deeply, and listen. The universe is never silent. It's just a matter of whether we are quiet enough to hear its language. As you begin to notice the subtle algorithms of the universe through numbers and symbols, you might develop a naive confidence. Ah, now I understand the rules. As long as I follow the signs, everything will go smoothly the way I want. But reality doesn't unfold in such a straightforward, comfortable way. The moment you think you've taken the wheel, the universe sends the final visitor, a wild and unpredictable guest, to test your ability to let go. Sign 7, the Trickster's Call. This is the stage where absurdity reaches its peak, leaving even the most logical minds bewildered. You'll notice a striking paradox in your life. The plans you prepared most carefully, logically, and thoroughly collapse in the most ridiculous, unexpected ways. In contrast, impulsive decisions and sudden turns, choices you once considered crazy, lead to dazzling success or open doors to unforeseen opportunities. For example, you might spend months planning the perfect trip, only for your flight to be canceled at the last minute. Disappointed, you wander into an unfamiliar bookstore and happen to meet someone who changes your career forever. Ordinary logic seems to turn upside down. The old rules of cause and effect you once clung to, that hard work and control always lead to good results, suddenly become useless. Carl Jung called the energy behind this phenomenon the trickster archetype. In myth and popular culture, this archetype is embodied in figures like Loki from Norse mythology or Hermes in Greek mythology. They aren't evil, but they are divine mischief makers. They love to stir things up, topple rigid orders, and toss banana peels under the feet of anyone walking with too much self-assurance. The trickster appears to wake you from the trance of control. The message of this sign is clear. The logic of the ego is dead. You cannot use old ways of thinking, those based on fear and the need to control, to navigate the new world that is emerging. When the trickster comes knocking, it is the universe teaching you the ultimate lesson of surrender and humor. We're often taught to be strong like a dam, to stand firm in the face of all changes. But when the flood of transformation arrives, the harder the dam, the more easily it breaks. The trickster comes to teach us the lesson of the surfer. Instead of trying to dam up and block the chaos, learn to jump on the board and ride the waves. Learn to laugh at your ruined plans. The arrival of chaos at this point isn't a sign of failure, but a sign that you're being pushed out of your cramped comfort zone. Let go of your clenched fists. Allow yourself to be a little crazy, to trust in those illogical intuitions, because it's precisely in the unexpected turns created by the trickster that you'll find the shortcut straight back to your truest self, the path that pure logic could never discover. We have traveled a long journey together, from the tiniest cracks of coincidence to the total collapse of old orders. In summary, these 7 strange signs are not omens of disaster. They are moments that signal the true self is rising up powerfully, tearing through the narrow shell of the ego to reach the light. So, the most sincere advice for you now: don't fix it. Don't panic or scramble to glue your old life back together. Instead, practice what Jung called active imagination. Sit quietly, open your heart to dialogue with your dreams, the numbers, and even the moments of breakdown. Ask the universe, what do you want me to do next? Instead of blaming, why is this happening to me? When your question changes, your life will change. Remember, you are the alchemist of your own life. The chaos, pain, and darkness you face right now are the lead prima materia, the raw and precious material for you to transmute into the pure gold of consciousness. If you are sensing these sacred cracks within yourself, comment "I am watching" below as a brave commitment to your own journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue holding hands in the next videos on this path of healing and returning to wholeness.